Good morning, friends. Welcome to Journey Home Meditation. When I rise, let me rise like a bird with no regret, joyfully. You're listening to Seth Martin right now. When I fall, let me fall like a leaf with no regrets, joyfully. When I rise, let me rise like a bird with no regrets, joyfully. When I fall, let me fall like a leaf with no regrets, and joyful. This is Seth Martin and the Minders. Seth is singing a beautiful melody to one of my favorite poems by Wendell Berry. Wendell Berry is an American pastor, and I think he was capture the beautiful sadness of that poem, this hopefulness in loss and this grace. I think the poem is it's coming humbly, practice, even with skill, even with strength or knowledge or all of these things. There's still this asking. That is important. Happy to have been able to share a song with you. Seth Martin is of mine and my family's and of so many, and I just love hearing him sing to me in the mornings. So check out Seth Martin and the Minders. You can find all it's phenomenal. This is the morning sit. I'm Michael. I'm going to be facilitating this morning's practice of some shared breathing, some poetry, some contemplation. It's good to be sitting in the beside meditation hall and having this delivery of tea. So how about another drink, actually? That's an amazing cup of tea. Mhm. Okay, now how about we take a few moments for breath of the music any longer? There are a moment that we can take in our day to begin with pause, to begin with slowing down and reaching into the center of our body. You know, we do this with our awareness. We reach with our awareness. Once awareness begins to happen, it's not this laser focus on one thing. It's this invitation to start seeing more and more. I I like to think of it as that moment right after dusk when the sky shifts from the blues into the darker hues and the purples, and then it's coming into night, and you glimpse the first star. There's the famous poem that every child knows, that I grew up with, at least. Starlight, star bright, first star I see tonight. Wish I might have this wish I wish tonight. And you see that first star that opens up, and it's this moment of awareness. Oh, that's what we're doing now. This is night. It's coming on. And then almost as if being cued by the conductor, another one appears. And you were just looking at that piece of the sky. You were just looking in that direction and you saw nothing. And then you see the first star and then the second and then the third. And then all of a sudden they just come as multitudes. This is awareness. Awareness brings our attention to something that we didn't notice necessarily before, but in that recognizing, in that seeing, in that moment of noticing, we can begin to see more and more, because awareness begins when we actually take a step backward in our focus. We have our five senses um, that we can utilize for the material world, right? We can see these things. But then there are other senses that we have for these non-material things. Love is a sense. We can sense love. We can sense the feelings of devotion and the feelings of being enamored and the feelings of comfort. And that's a sense. Well, it may not be one of the five material senses, but it's a sense that each of us have. We can sense danger. Um, Sometimes our messaging is a little off and our ability to distinguish or differentiate's a little off, but we can sense that. We can sense when someone is near. All of these things. But those senses, they're just sort of collecting information, giving us information. But when we can step back, it's what a lot of teachers, including Ram Dass, was really big on this in his teachings, talked about cultivating the witness, this aspect of ourselves that can see something, observe something, recognize something without necessarily being attached to it. And when I say being attached, I mean being identified with it. We can look at something without saying, that's me. We can say, oh, this is here. And so the awareness aspect of this morning breath is really about stepping into our bodies and being able to begin at a time all of the aspects of what we are carrying with us this morning. So I might take a breath. And I notice there's some tension in my shoulders, in between my shoulder blades and my back. And instead of fixing it right away, I'm just sort of recognizing, oh, isn't that interesting? I've been carrying that tension for how long, and I'm just now becoming aware. Okay, what else is here? I notice energy trying to diffuse itself through my body. I can feel little movements in my fingers and in my legs and toes. To the more. And I notice this sense of my breath being slow and calm and steady. So there's all these little things that are occurring in my body right now. And the ability to begin to just breathe into our bodies and become aware of those different aspects of ourselves. This is part of regulating our central nervous system. You know, as the central nervous system is digesting emotions, it metabolizes them. It metabolizes all of the information we're bringing into our bodies. And just like food, if we are not digesting properly, if we're not working with uh, a healthy system to bring those nutrients into our bodies, um, then we're going to have some discord, right? Some indigestion, or maybe we're going to have a spike from a sugar rush, or whatever it is. This is working the same way in our central nervous system. Our nervous system is the information and transmute into uh, commands for the different body. Essentially, it's telling our body right now. You know, it's like air traffic control for all of these emotions. They get translated into our body's ability to send out what needs to be sent out, what needs to land here. Mixing a lot of metaphors, super fun, I know. But these few breaths allow us to step back from our emotions just enough to see how those emotions are coming to fruition in our body. So maybe that tension in my shoulders, or that energy in my hands, that nervousness, that was maybe connected to an emotion, maybe something really subtle. But if I go unnoticed with that, it can compound and start to get stuck in systems. We get stuck in systems. But regulating ourselves, a really great way to come back to a center and enjoy these experiences, even the ones that seem dysregulated or uncomfortable. So that's why we breathe together. So I'm going to ring this meditation into our breath We'll be breathing in through our nose to the bottom of our belly and just listening. Slowly and calmly. Let's do breaths together. Breathing in and out. And release. Just a few minutes of remaining in that space the day. To do is to come back to a practice that you get started down a path and you think, oh, I should have done my yoga this morning, and then you don't, and then you feel dysregulated in your body throughout the day, or uh, and it's interesting because you wouldn't do that with other things. You wouldn't be like, oh, you know what, I haven't had a glass of water yet today, so I guess I'm just going to dehydrate and die. Oh well. No, you would take a moment and you would get a glass of water. Um, but there's something about missing a part of your routine that can put you off balance for the day. Um, so, unlike a practice that may require a lot of physical space, taking out a mat, changing clothes into something more loose and comfortable, being able to even just come for a moment for a few asanas, a few different position changes and holds, or just a few mindful breaths can really reset your system and put you back into place pretty quickly. Um, and the more we practice this, the easier it is to remember to come back to that practice in the moment when you start to feel dysregulated, or it almost becomes second nature or first nature, even to just with some silence, with some stillness. You can do this in so many ways in so many places. So practicing this breath when you are regulated, way to accustom yourself towards Talking with Angela this morning, and I was asking if there's anything in for or the world that she'd like to hear discussed this morning or to think about. Because it's nice to be able to get other perspectives. It's nice to be able to hear what other people see or think. We should not at all expect ourselves to come up with all of the answers for ourselves and come up with all of the methods and all of the practices and all of the ways to heal our own. I promise you. I promise you. Not yours, another's. You are fed with food that you uh, you definitely have been given love. It doesn't matter who you are. I promise you, there's been love for you in this world, even if you recognized it yet. It's happened, and you've been given pain, and you've been given good direction and misdirection in your life by others, by people outside of yourself. So the idea that you have to come to these things on your own and fix yourself and heal is just ridiculous. We don't do anything alone in this world. That's not how this world works. We are not specimens in cubicles in sanitized spaces. We are messy and we are dirty and we rub against one another. Excuse me. So when we were talking about this, she mentioned wanting to talk about why it is that many of us have a tendency to seek external input or validation that we cannot seem to access on our own. More specifically, I think this is about, an easy way into this discussion is talking about beauty. Why is it that it's so hard to feel beautiful in our bodies just on our own, just marveling at ourselves, that we seek that validation from someone else, and even then, when somebody tells us, sometimes we have a difficult time believing them or feeling it, internalizing it, really embodying it. But this is true for a lot of different things. And I don't know exactly why it is we do it. And I don't think there's an easy fix for how to break that habit other than to say, until we are ready to, pardon me, until we are ready to let go of the belief that we are not enough and the belief that we are somehow broken, we will not be ready to embrace the perfection and the beauty of who we are in any moment. We have to really sit with the reality that we, for whatever reason, have chosen to believe that we are not enough, or that we are too much, or that we are somehow not exactly made for this exact moment, in this exact time, in this exact body. We have learned this. We have learned over and over again that if I want to be happy, I have to be healed. if I want to be gentler and more of this and less of this, we have embodied these beliefs for a very long time. And I think a real big one there is this healing aspect. We talk about healing a lot on this show, but product, it is not an end result. Becoming aware of your wholeness is an ongoing process. It's just something that's happening. It's something that's happening the way that we become aware of our breath, or the way that we become aware of a sensation of hunger or a sensation of satiation. Whatever it is, it's just that process. And when we focus too much on this notion of like, well, I'll be happy once I'm healed, then there's no end to it. There's no end to it. That's like saying, I'll be fine once I finish breathing. I just need to breathe more. And then once I finish that, then I'll be fine. No, you're going to continue breathing. You're going to continue drinking water. You're going to continue sleeping. You're going to continue a process of recognizing and becoming aware of all of the aspects and facets of who you are. You don't have to wait for healing to be happy. You don't have to do that. It's important to embody that. I don't have to wait to be happy. I don't have to be healed to feel joy. I don't have to be healed to feel beauty and pleasure. I don't have to wait to be healed to be in a loving relationship with another or with multiple people, with my family, with my friends. I don't have to be healed or perfect or even regulated. I don't have to do that. I can recognize that I can be more than these things all at one moment. So when I'm standing in that mirror and I see a body that I'm not super stoked on in that moment, I can also say, but you know what? You know what? This brings me pleasure. This belly that I might feel is a little, I kind of want to hide that a little bit, tuck that roll in here or there. Yeah, but when I get that belly rubbed, or when a loved one that trusts me lays their head on my belly and feels the soft. So there's pleasure in this body. And I love that. I love giving pleasure to the people that I love. And that includes loving their bodies. It includes being able to hold the hand of someone that I love. And they might look at their hands and think, oh, my fingernails are awful. My cuticles are bad. I've got these calluses. Man, I really haven't taken care of my hands. But I like to hold that hand. And it's not just about somebody else giving or receiving pleasure, but I think about that with my hands. I like the feeling my loved ones in my hands. So then I love these. And you can become aware of the love that you do for things like your body. Things, the way that your mind works that you might beat yourself up for, the way that we forget things, the way we do this or that, those are all just aspects of this greater sum of things that make you part of who you are in this world. And always seeking external validation isn't going to work. It's just not going to work because sometimes it won't be there. Sometimes you'll be in a relationship that shifts or changes or comes to an end, and you won't have that validation. I'll give you a really good example of this. I was in this job working for a large mental health organization, and I was really, really good at aspects of my job. And that's okay to say when you're really good at something. We were just listening to a conversation about therapy in this podcast. And this person had made some great strides in their own personal growth, and they had begun to love them, felt feelings of pride, and they weren't allowing themselves to say that because they had taken to be proud or to love yourself publicly. And it really hit them. They felt a lot of shame around that. And that was true for me. So I'm working on. I was really proud of my level of work at this job. I was really good at some of these things. And because I was really good at it, I was receiving a lot of accolades. I was receiving a lot of love and attention and focus from people all around me, from coworkers, from managers, from bosses, from people with positions of somehow an authority. And that felt really good. That was touching into some really old feelings of absence. Like I didn't have necessarily somebody in my childhood who was always like taking notice of the things that I did that were amazing. And they, children do amazing things. And when we can see them doing that and let them know, it blossoms inside of them. They become aware that the amazing things they do affect others. And so when we don't have that, you develop a big hole that wants to be filled. And when it gets filled, it's a big deal. And I started to embrace all of those actions in my job. And that made me have a large amount of self-worth. Oh, I am necessary. I am loved. I am important. I am beautiful. I am skilled. I am gifted. I am all of these things. Listen to these words coming in. Yes, yes, yes. And then I was transferred because they trusted that I would be good at this other job, and they wanted me to open this new facility. And in doing that, I was no longer working directly with clients to any level that I was working with prior. So I didn't have the ability to shine. I didn't have the ability to feed my ego with success. I wasn't getting the accolades. So almost immediate self-worth began to plummet. And I began to build resentments for the people who transferred me into this other position, and to be fed those accolades, those things that gave me feelings of self-worth. Nothing changed about me. Nothing was different. I still had all of those qualities and all of those elements that were beautiful to somebody else, but I wasn't seeing them in myself unless they were being reflected from someone else. And I had to do a lot of work on that. And even today, still, I do a lot of work on that. It's not healed. It's not, but I can let myself feel love for myself into these things. I'm allowed to feel self-love even when I feel self-doubt. So permissiveness, to be bigger than one thing. That's the key of awareness. Awareness of all of those different stars in the sky lets you know that it's bigger than one thing. We are bigger than one belief, one thought. So when we find ourselves spiraling down and focusing on one brings you into awareness of the multitudes of who you are. Issues about self-doubt. I don't know. We were never taught how to regulate And regulation isn't just for when bad things happen, it's for anything. We were never taught that when you get really excited about something, it's okay to also, you know, coming up, coming down. It's me too. And that's me too. To me, I immediately thought of a poem. I was trying to find this poem. Um, it's called The Rain, the path wherever it was taking me, the earth roots beginning to stir. I didn't intend to start thinking about God. It just happened. But holiness is visible in it's wonderful to walk along intention to reach an answer, but merely drifting. Our real decoration by any means. By next week, the violets will be blooming. In my delicious walk in the rain, what was it actually about? Think about what it is to say. It was something like that. Like clouds that only seem weightless, but of course are not. That's us. We see about ourselves when somebody points them out to us. Hey, I really love your eyes. You have gentle eyes. We see this as a weightless cloud that just blows through our day, and that's fine to see it that way. That's fine. Everything is passing through. But remember the weight of that your beauty struck another person. And it's not about the validation from them. It's about understanding, oh, when I see beauty in someone else, I am a part of that relationship of beauty. I am inherently a part of that relationship of beauty. You know, there's this amazing thing that happens to each of us. And just recognize it for a moment that the people that you love are so beautiful. When you see their face, you are drawn right into the view. You just filled. About ugly babies. There's some ugly babies. You know what I'm talking about. I don't know if anybody who loves the baby could ever see the ugliness of a baby. You know what? There's the just. I don't. I don't know. They are beautiful, but there's something about them that's like. I had an aunt who would used to say, "Well, it's so ugly, it's cute. That dog's so ugly, it's cute." Understanding that what you find beautiful out it's you, full or ugly about anything, and find that beauty wherever you look, wherever you see, whatever you feel. Your senses are only there to help gather the information to understand. Well, friends, I think we're going to skip on the Appalachian Elegy this morning, and I'm okay with that. I want to give time to this book and these pieces, and we've been here a while today talking about these things. So I'm going to wait on this Appalachian Elegy. But that Mary Oliver poem that I read today, I read it from her great collection, Devotions. I'm going to find the poem and tell you what book it was originally published in. It's published in her book, Blue Horses, a book she published in 2014. It's called Drifting. This is a phenomenal book, and I've learned that this book, Mary Oliver's Devotions, will be coming out in Spanish translation this July. That's really exciting for anybody that speaks Spanish in your life, including you. Yeah, just a phenomenal book put together by Mary Oliver herself before she died, and it runs through from her most recent to her earliest poems in this reverse chronological order. Some of her favorite pieces that she's written. So it's a great book. It's sort of like sitting with a poet and having them take you through the story of themselves. At any rate, thanks for taking the time this morning. I hope this practice was good. It's a lot of talking today, but you know the practice. Breathe into the bottom of the belly and just sit. Just sit there. Move your body into a position to accommodate the breath and the awareness of the breath. And just hold that silent stillness. Take refuge in the Buddha, refuge in the Dharma, and refuge in the Sangha. Hari Om.